At Play in the Fields of the Lord, released in 1991, directed by the Brazilian Hector Babanco, and a director that I've admired for some time. The cast, there's four leading roles here. Tom Berenger plays Lewis Moon. John Lithgow is Leslie Huben. Daryl Hannah plays Andy Huben, his wife. Aidan Quinn plays Martin Quario, and his wife is played by Kathy Bates. And they have a young son called Billy. And basically, Lithgow, Hannah, Quinn, Bates, they're all missionaries. Their mission is to export the faith, the religion of God, to an Amazonian rainforest tribe of Naruna Indians. Alongside that, Berenger is a sort of a pilot who alongside his friend Wolfie, played by Tom Waits, they're hired by a jungle general to bomb the Indians. However, when Moon parachutes in on the tribe, he basically changed his perception of them and starts to mould himself in with the tribe. And this phase, we capture the acceptance by the tribe for him, the awareness that he has for those within the tribe, playing with the children, and also we get a hint of his passion for the women. Of course, one woman in particular. All the tribe are basically naked, and he commits to joining them by disrobing as well. Side by side with that is the story of story of Quinn and Kathy Bates and the son, and how they adapt to being in a community full of the Indians. They try and offer gifts. A previous visitor to them, trying to sell the religion, has ended up dead, so they have to tread very, very carefully to try and gain the trust. And the movie's particularly good at drawing together the difference in the cultures in terms of how they view objects. Western objects is interesting. It's an interesting phase there, and also we come across the contrast between Aidan Quinn's character and Kathy Bates. She's very historical, very moralistic, and doesn't seem to accept that the Amazonian Indian is unlikely to follow the same moral code as her. And this is defined succinctly when her son, who's playing quite happily with some of the Amazonian Indian children, they decide to view two adults who are starting to get friendly with each other, male and female, and are approaching the possibility of copulation. This really raises hairs on the back of her neck, and she starts to rant about the uncivilized nature of the behaviour of the two, which is the whole point. They aren't civilized. They have their own codes, their own methods, their own language, and they see life very simplistically, with the notion of a god-like figure that's completely alien to the missionaries' concept of alien. They have their own gods, and they don't really want to be interfered with, persuaded or lent on to change their belief system just because a group of sort of missionaries come along and want to impose their religion on this tribe. It's a fascinating watch, 3 hours of it, but you could get into it. And aside, as a viewer, male viewers might well be quite affected by the fact that the Indian tribe are naked, particularly some of the close-ups of the women, bare-breasted women, might well get you a little bit sensual. A particularly poignant scene is when the boy Billy dies from the fever, the mosquito-related fever, and the event sort of is seen very much as a uniting of the white people with the Indians in a time of bereavement. However, because they're missionaries, Lithgow's character, who reads a sort of sermon as the child is put in the ground, uses the opportunity when the Indians witness his utterings. He uses this as a justification for the fact that God has entered their being and has converted them, which is basically has no justification whatsoever. They have clearly observed one of their own passing on, and they have developed a way of responding that's respectful to the concept of an afterlife, whatever that may be. But Lithgow's interpretation is way off being, which is very much reflective of how current religions view those that aren't within their flock. They are unwilling to accept an alternative interpretation, and they view their God as the only God. Very interesting. But this is very much a cultural film that is getting stronger as I watch. This 3-hour movie, another twist. After the death of the boy, but from malaria, Moon, who of course came in on a parachute, was accepted by the Indians out of fear because he arrived from the sky, and so that's how he survived. But he's sort of integrated himself and struck a relationship with a girl who had a child. But then it appears he brought in the flu virus, which has attacked the tribe with an enormous amount of fatality. And there's an interesting scene where Moon, posing as one of the native Indians, is attracted to Daryl Hannah's character. She's bathing naked in a spring, and he's attracted to her. And there's a short scene where it appears that she may have mutual feelings towards his lust, although they don't carry on with the intimacy. It reflects the fact that there's a different perception for this man, based purely on the fact that he was wearing a parachute and parachuted out of a plane. So he's regarded with fear, whereas the others are regarded as enemies and need to be expelled from the village.